Hi everybody, welcome to the Truly Myrtle podcast. I am Libby and this is my weekly podcast that beams out onto Facebook and YouTube at 10 o'clock Thursday morning New Zealand time every week, come rain or shine. And I tell you, it's very sunny today. It is summer has arrived here in New Zealand. I'm just going to check your comments. This is a live podcast so that you can chat to me in the chat, and when you watch it later, I'm not live, but you can just catch up anyway. It's beautifully sunny here. It's summer has wanted to arrive, although I hear a cold front is on its way, but it's so lovely and warm, just a touch too warm for photographing the jersey that I still haven't done that I need to do, so I can give it to you probably not next week, but the week after. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to put on a really warm, cozy jersey and go and sit out and have photos. It's never my funnest thing to do. I'm the designer at Truly Myrtle. I have a whole lot of knitting patterns, trulymyrtle.com. You can find them all. I've also got a thing called Wardrobe Toolbox. It's like a knitting club that you really want to join. And the doors only open twice a year. They've just closed in end of September, October, and they'll open again in March. And you can come and join us then. And we have lots of fun over there, just figuring out how to make garments that fit you and they feel good, and just getting an understanding about knitting that we might not have got when we've gleaned it all for ourselves. I was just thinking about that this morning, actually, because I think with this whole knitting thing, we teach ourselves everything, don't we? I mean, not often do we get to have, like when we're beginning, we don't go to school for knitting. Very rarely would we go to school for knitting. We might have a grandmother or a mother or a neighbor or someone or a friend that teaches us to knit, but sometimes we have like what we feel like they're gaps, aren't they? And so you're thinking about things and you just assume things to be a certain way, or you just kind of fill in the gap somehow without realizing it's a gap. But and then when I think what happens, the reason I was thinking about it was because I was thinking about Wardrobe Toolbox, and I was thinking about some of the questions that come in, and I was thinking, yeah, I had all those questions too, I think. And some people say, oh, this is a really easy question, but it's not really. I think what happens is we assume things and we make up for what we've assumed just by filling in a gap, and we don't know what we're putting in the gap. Anyway, I was thinking about that and how it's not until you tell someone else and you're teaching someone else that you start to realize, oh yeah, I never stopped to think about that. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Oh, I wonder how you actually do that, because this is how I do it, but I wonder if there's any other ways that would be better to do that. And anyway, once you start telling other people, all of a sudden you get to know more about knitting, which is why it's quite good to pass on the craft to other kids and people around you, and just to keep it alive, because I think partly you learn more about it, and partly, obviously it keeps it alive. It's so nice to see you all. I can't see Facebook. Here we go. You're from all over the place. Washington, Massachusetts. It sounds like it's getting a bit colder there. Jean's sitting outside in Kaiwaka. She's waving her hand like that. Hi, it's sunny in Greytown. Oh, good. You're enjoying Huia, Andrea. It is a fun pattern, and I hope you really enjoy wearing her. She's one of the patterns I wear a lot. I really like my Huia. I could do with it in another color, actually. Illinois, Washington State. Hi, Barbara. It's sunny in Rangiora. Are you going to plant dahlias? Oh, I love dahlias. One of she's actually a friend of my sister's, but someone I know as well, has this most beautiful dahlias, and I try and get up there in the summer to grab buckets of dahlias off her, because she grows them to sell. Hi, Claire. Nice to see you. Deborah's in the Coromandel. It's warm, Lynn. I know, it's really warm. Oh, thank you. Barbara says she loves my earrings. So today, I'll tell you what I'm wearing today before I carry on, because I always get questions. I'm wearing my little urchin top. Now, I think a lot of you have probably got this top. You've probably knitted this top. This is a summery top that I first put out in Wardrobe Toolbox a few years ago now, and everyone was waiting with bated breath for it to come out to everybody else, and it did, and then now you've all got it. And it's a simple little tee, but it's super effective in summery yarn, and it's knitted from the top, and it's got these drop shoulders. And for those of you in Wardrobe Toolbox, we've talked quite a bit lately about figuring out sizing for these drop shoulder garments. And then it has this eyelet bit that goes down the front, just offset so it's not right in front of your bra. And then I've got these little sleeves, little shorty sleeves that I just banged in like that. So they're not too tight, not too loose, just nice little sleeves. And it has just a wide and higher neck, higher V-neck. It's not high, it comes down to about your armpit, but it's a bit wider, so it gives the illusion of being a bit bigger. And I think that works really well when you're thinking about necks. If you widen it, it looks bigger, even if it's shallow. If you haven't make it very wide and very long, it can look way too big on you. So think about the proportions of that. Pull things in long and then out and short, like that. Of course, you can do whatever you like. Sunny in the Hawke's Bay, you're winding your homespun. Nice to see you, Em. Hi, Diane. Hi, Yon. I hope you're feeling a bit better. Oh, I was going to tell you about my earrings. Yeah, I bought these earrings the other day. I'm going to show you them to you. They're actually kinna shells that have been got resin on top of them so that they're preserved. Can you see that? See, it's a little, and I got the biggest ones they had because I thought they were really cool. But it's a little shell. If you haven't come across a kinna shell, they're sort of shaped like that. And I just thought they were really cute, actually. They're a little bit like Martians, but I feel like I could be going to Mars in these. But they're pretty cool, aren't they? They've got a natural curve in them. Anyway, I have worn them a few times, and they're very light because they're shell. They're very, very light, and I just thought they were fun. Hi from Central West North South Wales. You're having a cold snap. Oh my gosh, are you? Maybe that's what's going to come to us in a minute. I think in a few days. I feel like apparently we're getting some cold weather. I'm not sure. Rainy and windy in Northern California. A storm blew in today. Yeah, it's a good time to be curling up. It is funny, isn't it? Because you live in a little bit of FOMO, don't you, when you hear about everybody else's weather? And you're thinking, about autumn and getting into those winter knits, it's so nice. At the moment, I'm thinking, oh, I'm loving this warm weather, and fling all the doors and windows open, and you can sit outside, and everyone's been getting sunburned. My kids, kind of on-off exams. Everything's starting to wind up for them, so they're all floating about, and, they lie in the sun for too long. And it's that kind of weather. And then it goes on and on and on. And I'm ready for autumn. You're having a rainy day, good day for knitting. Hi Bernadette, nice to see you. No wind. Yeah, Terry, there's just no wind here either. It's really still. Blue sky, beautiful blue sky. New Zealand does a really good blue sky, for those of you who haven't been here. New Zealand does an amazing blue sky. The sky is so big here. That's one of the things that, the sky's pretty big in America though, I have to say. But one of the things when I used to come back and forth between here and the UK was just the expanse of sky. It used to blow me away here. It's just so big and so blue. Okay, right, let's talk a bit about knitting. Barbara says she loves this top so much she's made 3. It's one of those tops, I think. And then you can take the shell of it and add other features in. Change the neck, do different patterns, or take the patterns away. Do something different with the sleeve. Adjust the ease. It's a really good pattern for doing that. Hi Peggy from Ohio, Natalie, South Australia, and walk for half an hour to get my spare bike key and then back again. That's a good idea. From the Netherlands. Oh, you lost your bike key today. Oh my gosh, yes. Hopefully you'll find it. Okay, so what was I going to tell you about? I was going to answer a few of your questions. Yeah, I was just thinking about how it's a good idea to teach people about knitting. I was thinking about some of the examples actually when I was thinking about what gaps do you have when you imagine it knitting for yourself and you're just getting on with it and doing it, and especially before we started having patterns that really walked us through things. When those early years, when everyone was kind of getting into knitting or doing more knitting altogether, but we didn't really have the support we have now. And I was thinking things like gauge. Gauge is a big one. So when you're measuring gauge, this is my top tip for the day, when you're measuring your gauge, when you want to know how big your stitches are, now this is different. This is a different kind of swatching to if you want to know how your yarn behaves, or if you want to know if the colours go together, or if you want to know if you like the pattern in the yarn, or if you want to know how to try something before you do it. That's different. That's a different kind of swatching. You don't have to do big swatches for those things. You can just do little bits and pieces until you figure it out. That early stages of, do I like the look of this fabric in this on this needle? Is it looking good? Does it kind of drape how I want? They don't have to be big swatches. the swatch that counts when it's big, they all count. But the swatch that I'm talking about when you're thinking about gauge to figure out the size of your stitches is bigger, because a bigger expanse of fabric will help you determine what size the average stitch is over a wider area and the rows. And so for that one, you want to do at least about 6 inches or 15 centimeters square, and bigger if you can, because if it's flat you could reuse it. And if you do the one in the round where you keep all your yarn on one side, you could reuse it. I'm not against reusing swatches if you need it for your garment. But if you do a nice big swatch, and so you have a decent size, then you get into the rhythm of the stitches, you get into the rhythm of that yarn, and it doesn't matter whether you're knitting flat or in the round, although obviously if you're going to do both in a garment, you want to figure out both. And but then you can measure in the middle of the swatch. There are 2 ways to do it. You can either measure a 4-inch or 10 centimeter area inside that bigger swatch. So there are bits around the outside that you're not measuring because they might be edge stitches, or I'm just getting started at the beginning, or I'm getting sick of this, I'm wrapping up at the end. The bit in the middle is hopefully when you're in the rhythm. And so you measure that area in the middle of your swatch. Or the other thing you could do is you could measure across almost the entire swatch, not the entire swatch, you want to leave off those very edge stitches, but you could measure across the entire swatch, and it might be 6 inches, say, might be 8 inches, might be really big in both directions. And then you can average, depending on what it is you've got in that full amount, you can average it per inch or per centimeter, and then go up again to work out your 4 inches or 10 centimeter gauge. For those of you who this is like bamboozling with numbers, then you might be like, I'm lost already. I have some really good information inside Wardrobe Toolbox about this, and I walk you through with a video. It's really nice and easy to work out. But essentially, you don't, if the gauge is 30 stitches and 38 rows, you don't cast on 30 stitches and would knit 38 rows. Don't do that. You want to actually knit more than that, and then come back and measure the area to work out how many stitches have I got in this 4-inch or 10 centimeter square or more, and reduce it down. I probably said too many words trying to explain that to you, but that was one of the questions I was thinking about, because I think a lot of people, even if they say I've been knitting for 70 years, they say, or 40 years, 50 years, they say that a lot. I'm an experienced knitter, but those little gaps, those are gaps. Those are things that we just we use our common sense. Logic would tell us if I need my 30 stitches to measure 10 centimeters, then I would just cast on 30 stitches and I'll see if it measures 10 centimeters. That's logic, but actually the better way is to cast on more and then work out what that 10 centimeters or 4 inches is inside that, or across a bigger area, and then average it down so that you just get it. That's the most accurate way. Becky says, I'm swatching for the new test. Yes, I've got a new test. I've actually almost got 2 new tests. I'm busy working on a second test that's going to hopefully, it needs to be out pretty soon. I want it all done before Christmas. So, I mean, not the test to be finished, but me to be finished. I've actually got 2 things I want to do before Christmas. So I get a little bit ahead with the summer coming. But anyway, Becky said she's 1 stitch out, but she loved the fabric. Check the pattern at the bust, and the number of stitches using my gauge will give me the perfect size using 1 size smaller. Perfect. She said that's a really good example, Becky, of the gaps that we don't know. Filling in the gaps. Now, common sense would say that if our stitches are smaller than they need to be, then maybe I can't knit the size I want because it's going to end up smaller. So if my stitch is bigger than they need to be, then maybe I can't knit the size I want because it's going to end up bigger. So common sense would tell us to kind of deviate to one size or the other, but we can do it a little bit mathematically, so we know exactly what size it's going to be with our gauge, and we don't have to stress about, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to try different needles to try and push my fabric to get close to that gauge. And then if, like Becky, if you say, well, actually I really like this fabric, actually the fabric I've knitted on this 3.5 or 3.75 needle is actually really nice. It's a lovely drape. It's not too airy. It's just the fabric I want. I'm not sure if I want to go down a needle size to push it into the gauge, because then it might stand up on its own. It might just be terrible fabric. So yeah, there's lots of little things that I think it's good to start explaining it to other people, and then things will click in your head. So Everybody find someone to teach knitting to. I think that's the secret. Katie says it helps to watch Truly Myrtle every week. Oh, you're so nice. A lovely approach to teaching that happens here. Nitty McPurley weekly podcast. Oh, she's lovely, Nitty McPurley. I know. I think I know who that is. She's in the States, isn't she? Nitty McPurley? I think she is. I think I know who it is. Brenda says, I've been working on the swatch for the short row lessons in Sweater Fit Plus. Excellent. I've only done the wrap and turn so far. Definitely need to practice it more. Wrap's too loose, enjoying the lessons. Oh, good, Brindis. I'm really thrilled. I think what you'll find, Brindis, is when you work through those other short rows, you will suddenly fall in love with another one, and you'll have a wrap and turn tucked in your back pocket. Because we do use those. They're pretty good. And if you're using garter, honestly, just use a wrap and turn. They're so lovely to use. You won't even see them. And I do like them around an armhole because I like the little bar that's created. I think that works out. I've experimented with all the others and I just prefer that one. But actually, when it comes to making, particularly if you're working in reverse stockinette, if you want a really beautiful short row that isn't visible, then you'll probably move away from a wrap and turn, and you'll suddenly have more short row tools in your toolbox, so you can pull out another one. Oh, I might do a Japanese this time. You might find that's the cleanest one to do, or maybe you just love working a German short row and you know how to do it, and it looks good enough. Hopping in for a few minutes. It's a beautiful fall day in PA, Pennsylvania. I don't know where that is. I'm really hopeless with knowing what all the states, and a lot of them I know. Jenny said, I offered to help my daughter out with setting her up for her first garment and told she would just watch video. Oh, Jenny, just slap down. I know that. Well, that's the thing. I have a daughter. Actually, she'll be home next week. All my kids will be home next week because the university is finished for them. They've finished forever, those two. It's bizarre. They've just started, I feel like, 5 minutes ago, and now they're both done. So anyway, they're finished. The next one's ready to go off and do it. But she is a remarkable craftswoman. She is fearless about crafting. She's 21 and she has been for years. She's always been fearless about making, and she watches a lot of videos. If she doesn't know something, she watches a video, she just gets it like that, and then she pushes it. And so I remember a couple of years ago she was making little gloves, and she'd obviously got a free pattern. She doesn't pay for anything, including her yarn, because she gets it all from me. But she got a pattern for some gloves and she didn't like the thumb. And so she said, I just did it. I just changed it, so it was better. And she knitted a bunch of different thumbs and then changed it. And she's fearless. But there's something about that, isn't there? There's something about that fearlessness that I think it comes with youth. And you don't know what you don't know. And why would you bother knowing anyway? I think there's that whole attitude. But Jenny, we still want to see your beautiful knitting. Tell me more about Wardrobe Toolbox. If you head over to wardrobetoolbox.com, you can see a little blurb about it. The doors will open again in March. The price is $40 New Zealand dollars a month, and it's cheaper if you join for the whole 6-month season, and you just roll over. Something funny's happening with my hair today. Sorry, I have to just fix my hair. I blow dried it and it's gone all weird. Anyway, we'll just have to, I've got big hair today, like newsreader hair. That's what I've got today. The price will stay the same. It just went up slightly last time, and it'll stay the same now for a bit. And but I don't think the price is on there at the moment. I don't think so. It just says that you can sign up to the waiting list. So sign up to the waiting list, and I will get in touch with you beforehand and closer to the time to tell you about it. But it's really good. It's really nice. Someone said, I think it was Brindis who said you were enjoying it, weren't you, Brindis? A lot, which is really great. We have members from all over the world, and we focus on garments and we focus on knitting from the top, but everything really is relevant to everything that you knit. So there's a whole lot of gaps that we can fill in there. You fell into a trap when buying wool for a garment and really, really wanted to knit Sweet Melody, had real difficulty in getting engaged, so took myself in what's a little extra room. Oh yeah, we do that, don't we? You got to joining in the round, and it was obvious it wasn't working, no matter what I wanted it to do. I know that. Well, we all do that, I think, Gay. We're like, oh, she'll be right. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll just imagine it's absolutely fine, and I'm not even going to worry about it. It's going to be fine. So, yeah, we all do that. We definitely all do that. But yes, no, you can't the yarn wants to do what it wants to do, and sometimes it doesn't want to play ball with what you want. So either you abandon the project you were thinking of making and do something else, or you pull out the calculator and a bit of pen and a paper and you do a bit of maths and you make it work. And it's not impossible, but it's just a little bit more. Oh, good, you're enjoying that. Is that top my pattern? Yes, this is called Urchin. This little top I'm wearing is called Urchin. I'll show you what I've been making these garments lately for Wardrobe Toolbox. You guys will be seeing those in the next few months. But I try not to show everybody because it's nice to have a surprise, I think. And so those are all, I'm busy working on those at the moment. There's a couple of garments coming up next. But so in between, I thought I would show you what I've been working on. Remember I showed you the little blanket that I thought I'd start, the little mitered blanket? And I think last time I had just a few squares. Well, I've been trying to do a couple of squares every, when I get a chance. And I've got this much blanket. It's still not much of a blanket, is it? But I'm working, that's a corner. I've decided that's the little corner at the bottom of the bed or the top. I'm not sure. It's going to be a very warm blanket. But I'm really enjoying them. I'm in a little bit of a quandary. I've laid out my yarn, all my scraps, and I'm sure I don't have them all. I have to find more and pull them all out. It's all fingering yarn, and some of it's silk and merino, and some of it's single spun merino, and some of it's yak, and it's got all sorts in there. And at the moment, I thought I'd start with the greens. I had a bunch of greens and browns and greensy greys, so I thought I'd start with those. And now when I lay out my other colours, I don't really have many reds. I've got a few yellows. It's interesting, my colour choices. I've got quite a few blues, but not a heck of a lot. But what I thought was, I've got quite a few greys, and I thought now maybe I'll go into I was thinking I'd go into the greys. I've got two choices. I'll either go into the greys and then fade myself with dotting back and forth. You can see I've already started a grey and I've got a bronzy colours. I'm trying not to keep it too uniform. But I'll go into the greys and then I'll go into the blues, like lilac-y and blues and things like that. So I might go greys into blues. And the other option I have is I go into these mustardy golds. So I go mustardy gold, and then after that, I could go through to apricot and pinks, and then into lilacs and purples and back into blues. But the problem then is the blue would be, I might have to repeat this sequence quite a few times to make it work. It's one of the other dilemmas. How big am I going to make this blanket? And so knowing quite where to start things and move things, I might just keep going around and around. But one of the problems with going into the bronzes and then into the apricots and then into the pinks and then in the purples and lilacs and blues is that the blues are like way away. And if Mr. Myrtle really likes blue, and I've got some of the blues, and I thought maybe I should just go, I think I've already decided, but then I might change my mind, so you never know. But I think I might go greysy blues and then into the lilacs and the purples and lilacs and pinks and back that way, I think. I'm not sure. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. But I have got some of these bronzes in because I was thinking, oh yeah, I could go to the bronze. But it doesn't matter because they'll pop up again later. And I didn't want it to be too predictable. I wanted it to be, a little bit artsy. And so you had other things. Yes, Marina's saying yes, blues and purples. I think so. So I think I've got quite a few greys, and so I could turn these greens and bronzes into greys. I mean, it's already popping up in lots of the other colours that I have here. So I could head quite nicely into greys and then into blues. And I'll start dotting the blues in, you see, and keep some of the greens popping in. So it'll be like a flow. There'll be a flow happening. It actually requires quite a bit of thinking. I'm not going to apply that much thinking to it when I do it. I'll just grab the one that looks good, but I'm trying to do it so that I have a line like that. So now I know I can sort of start to plan now a little bit to fill in all those gaps. And every time I come to that section like that, I am going to have more yarns to add in. Or mustards. Yeah, I've got some beautiful mustards. So it gets a little confusing, doesn't it? Because I don't want to rip anything back. What I'm doing is I'm actually, at first, I was leaving the last stitch on my little square live and then picking that up with the next ones. And in the end, I decided not to do that. I decided to just leave them all, pull them off. I do one extra loop and then pull it off. And that gives me, it just works out when I'm picking up stitches for the next lot. And because I've been running my slip stitches from one, there's a good example there, from one square into the other. So it just helps me when I'm picking up, I can just run from one square into the other rather than pulling the colour up into the next square. But and then as I go, I've just been weaving away the ends. See, they're pretty messy actually. I've done some pretty messy weaving, but they're fine. I'll just trim off the little ends once it's all blocked eventually. But I just weave them into the seam as I go, and so I ever only have just the ends at the end there, because they're just waiting for a seam for me to weave it into, and that way I've got enough seams for all my ends. So there is a method to my madness. A little bit. Look, it's probably going to be like a 5-year project, but I'm just going to slowly get through it. And of course, by the time that time has gone through, I'm going to have a lot more yarn to choose from, because I will have more yarn that I've knitted. And so we'll see how it goes. Let me see. You've got some good suggestions. I always like your suggestions. Yay. Cool Ballarat. Oh, good on you. Tanya's saying her 2 daughters' favourite school holidays was to buy something from the op shop and modify it by cutting and sewing, and taught them to be fearless in their making. That's good. That's really good idea, Tanya. That's an excellent idea. Blues and purples, Marina thinks. Mustard, says Gay. Sue's saying I would go from greens to golds to blue and then back to gold, blue, and then back to greens. I could do that. I've got pinks and I want to use a wide range of the colours. Knowing me, there's not a lot of electric colour in my basket. There's a lot of muted aubergines, and there's a lot of colours in this kind of range where they're not crazy bright. So I think that all together they should work, and I could have an occasional one. Would I? I don't know if I would have an occasional bright colour or not. I'll see how it's looking as I go. Yeah, I'm not sure. Greens and bronzy to greys to purples will be lovely. Yeah, Katie likes that idea. Sue says my brain prefers some symmetry or order. It's funny actually, Sue, because I think that I for some reason my entire life, or at least my adult life, and as a teenager, I think it's like I have to kick symmetry. I love order and things. I love order. I love to know everything has a place. I like things to be organized. I do really like that. When I feel stressed, I feel an urgent need to clean the house. That seems to be my go fallback, so that the house is never clean enough. If I'm stressed, it's never clean enough. It's that place. It's disgusting. Looks like a squat. That's what I think when I'm feeling really stressed out. But when it comes to, I feel like I almost might have too much of that. And so I try and kick it all the time and just try and make things a little bit off, so that I don't know, I feel like I have to do that, otherwise I'd become too fixed, and I don't want to become fixed. That's just myself, but I've instinctively just always done that, let's just go off to the side a little bit, let's just throw something else in. I don't know, I feel like that helps calm me down if I can do that. Thanks, Gay. I think it's going to be lovely. Brenda says, I drive myself crazy when I try to put colours or squares together like that. I keep changing them and thinking some colours are too close. Oh, look, and not close enough. I'm exactly the same, Brenda. I'm exactly the same. I think that is why I feel like I have to just not do that. I just have to I have to push it. I have to say, right, this, before I start, this is what I'm going to do. I am not going to become really rigid about the colors, because I absolutely cannot be rigid about the colors, because I have this massive basket to choose from, and I would just stress myself out too much. And you know what? I really don't need any more stress in my life. I have a really busy job. I have a very busy life. I really don't need any more. This is supposed to be fun. And so I'm going to try and just say, I'm just going to have a little bit of that color appearing early, and then it's going to appear late, and I'm going to try and just channel my artistic self and just roll with it. Absolutely roll with it. When I was a teenager, I did a lot of painting. I haven't done a lot of painting since I was in my 20s. I really want to get back to it. I've been saying that for about a year now. I really do. And I loved texture, which explains a lot of my patterns actually. I loved texture in art materials and paint, and my paintings got really messy, really like messy. When I really got into it, everything would just get chaotic and messy, and then I'd kind of pull it together, and I absolutely loved it. And it was such freedom. And so somehow knitting really doesn't have that same messiness, can it? Because you can do beautiful stitches and you pull everything together and you can pick up beautifully. And I just got to fight that. I've got to fight that a little bit somehow. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you all that, but Tracy says she's the same way, and Gay says it's a rebel, being a rebel. I don't think I'm a very good rebel. I was never very rebellious. When all my friends, when we were teenagers, the goths were a big thing. And one of my closest friends was a goth. And she was probably, one of my closest friends. And she had her hair dyed, streaks in her hair, and she'd make these dresses, and they'd have bat wings underneath them, and she was this teeny little thing, and she'd have all the makeup and all of that. And I was goth adjacent. I had Doc Martens, but they were brown. They weren't black. I had black little short skirts, and my hair was big. I had the natural big hair. I could do that without teasing it, but I was definitely goth adjacent. I wasn't goth. I really didn't feel the need to do all that. Not really. But I loved being part of it all. But I always think of myself goth adjacent. But I don't know if I was particularly rebellious, although I do tend to do what I want to do. So I just don't have to make a big fuss about it. Hi from Finland. You should be sleeping. Oh, I know, 11:30. We'll just squeeze in a little bit more time. Val says sometimes we need to embrace the chaos. I think so, because the thing is that life is very chaotic, isn't it? And so I think I had 4 children because I just needed it to be busier and chaotic, and you can't really have much order when you've got 4 of them. And I mean, that's not even very many compared to some people, but there's something about, I know that's what life is like, so I'll just have to do more of it. But knitting is very, very precise, and so there's a balance there, I think. Jenny, Sue said she had to put all the colours in a bag and just pick one blindly. Yeah, I haven't done that. I didn't want to do that. I did want some flow to it. I wanted it to have some flow, but I don't want to be too tight about it. The danger is analysis paralysis. Try to be free, but easier said than done. It's a lifetime practice, isn't it, Natalie, I think. Rachel said she's still got her brown Doc Martens, and that's because they were Otago gear, weren't they, Rachel? We both went to Otago. I had my brown brogues things, like, I think they're loafers, was probably what you call them. They were brown. All my Doc Martens were brown. And then I had boots. I wish I still had those boots. I don't have the boots. I don't know what happened to the boots. I wore those all through university, though, my brown boots. And I loved those boots. They were good. But yes, I've really I'm pretty adverse to black shoes in general. I never have wanted black shoes. I've always liked colourful shoes. I've just discovered a textural knitting pattern using yarn with assigned pooling. I've put it on the list of never-ending projects. A textural knitting pattern using yarn with assigned pooling. Like, so when you're knitting, does it have pops of yarn? And so if you, like, there's that yarn, isn't there? So you can knit like blue, 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 and then it goes pink, and you make a rosebud. Is it like that kind of thing? Where you have the little things that pop up? Yeah, it's practically a uniform requirement. I don't know about you, Rachel, but when we were at university, we definitely had a uniform requirement, and I flattered with 3 girls through my entire time there. We occasionally had other people that came and went with us, but it was essentially me and the 3 girls. And people couldn't tell us apart. They actually didn't know who was who. And they said we all looked the same. Well, we didn't all look the same, but we definitely looked the same. We definitely looked the same. You do your hair like this, up at the front. Like, you'd pull it up, and you'd put your hair up like that. We all had that. I think the higher the better. And black stovepipe Levi's up to your middle. And I had Docs. I don't think a couple of them had Docs. Wouldn't we all have Docs? And then just dark. Everything was dark, wasn't it? If I did that, I'd be like, nah, I keep throwing it back. Yeah, I think that's what I do, Brindis, as well. I throw the ball back. It has flowers with the pops of colour. That's the one. Yes, Jenny, I think that looks good with the little little pop of texture with the pop of colour. It would be fun to do, wouldn't it? Rachel said I had that with my hair. Yeah, we all had that with our hair, I think, Rachel, in the 90s. Okay, right, let's answer some of your questions. I have some questions. Jo has sent a question in, and she said, I've given my depilling gadget to my daughter who lives in Sydney. I need to replace it. Which tool do you think is best? And I've done a video about depilling, and it's worth going back and looking at it, Jo. It's just probably a couple of months ago it was a short video, and I referred to this one. This is my favorite shaver. To be honest, I haven't actually tried any other electric shavers, but this one is really good. It was quite expensive when I got it. I don't think it's quite the same price that it was. They're from the Fabric Care Company, and you can buy this one all over the place. But something like this. I really like it. It's very, very good. If you're going to don't use it on something super fluffy, because it'll whip all the fluff off. Yeah, Rachel's talking about gleaners. Haven't tried a gleaner. I don't know what that would be like, but I think, are they just handheld? God, look, my hair's going bonkers today. Handheld things, I think. I don't know about the gleaners, but this one is the one I've got. I like it. Lynn has made a very good point, and it has been something on my mind with this, Lynn, actually. Lynn said tonal value might be as important as hues in your blanket. Spread all your yarns out on the floor and take a big photo and make it monochrome, and then I reject all the outliers. Yeah, I have been thinking about that, and you can see I've done that in here because I have a lot that are fairly close in value. So value is, if you turn everything into black and white, high value is like this one here, this white one, and these two are fairly close in value. Oops, these two. I know that these two here, they're very close in value. Those three are actually. And so I know that about it, and I'm mixing it up a bit. So I every now and then put in something like this one is a lighter value. That one is the lightest I've got yet, which is why I was preempting my possible move into the greys. But you can see I've definitely played with value. I'm very conscious of it, thinking about it when I go along. I don't want there to be, though, I don't want to be light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. I didn't want that. I wanted swathes of closer value with a pop of a higher value. Because I thought that overall I want it to be fairly muted and close in value. But every now and then I want a pop, 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 which is kind of what I think I'm getting now. And so I'm getting occasional pop of something lighter, and I think overall that should help make it look more cohesive if I've got that thought in my mind. Anyway, that's just another whole side of it. They're handheld. They have 3 different kinds of head for different kinds of fibers. Oh, Rachel, I might have to get a gleaner then. Sajay's saying they're fabulous. Am I talking, Jenny? Oh, you can talk about that. Dawn Barker patterns. If Urchin is from Wardrobe Toolbox. Urchin is from Wardrobe Toolbox Season 2. Is there a code to buy in Ravelry or just purchase in Wardrobe Toolbox? Yeah. So this one is in Wardrobe Toolbox, and if you haven't got it as part of your membership, if you weren't in for Season 2, then that's the cheapest place to buy it. It will always be on a discount, more than you'll get anywhere else. So yeah, that's the best place to get it. Okay, we can't link up Wardrobe Toolbox with Ravelry, though. That's just another whole nightmare, so we haven't tried to do that. Well, we can't do it, so that's a real bummer. Linda has got another question. Here's Linda. And she said, it's not a question, but it's a response to a post about mending a sweater hole. Stephanie Pearl McPhee says she weaves a length of yarn into her hems, so if she needs it later for mending, it's been laundered the same way and the same number of times as the whole sweater, and it won't look new and different once the piece is mended. Kind of brilliant. That is kind of brilliant. So essentially what she's saying is when she's finished, she'll just weave some yarn into her hem so that she can use it for mending, and it won't look like a polished, fresh, especially if something's faded, although if it's on the inside, it won't have faded, but it hopefully will blend in a little bit better. Just be careful that it doesn't felt in. Just be careful about what the yarn is, the fibers are in it, because if you get a little bit of wear with it, on the bottom of a hem, it should be okay. But, yeah, you don't want it to felt in and then find you can't get it out. That'd be a bummer. Okay, Debbie says, she's knitting Noah. So this is a Wardrobe Toolbox pattern. Oh, good. Yes, you've got lots of time to figure it out over there in Wardrobe Toolbox. So you have. Now, Debbie's knitting this pattern, Noah, which I nearly wore today. This is a silk cotton t-shirt that I made this year for Wardrobe Toolbox. And she's saying, I'm wondering if you carried the striped colour or cut and rejoined it every time. I ended up carrying it, but kind of weaving it behind the main colour. Yes, that's actually a really good idea. I didn't do that. I just cut it. I cut it every time, and you can see there where I've woven it away up the side. See? I just wove it away afterwards I just sat down and I did all my ends. I thought about carrying it, and you could carry it. Definitely, it's actually a really good idea to carry it up the side and hide it behind the other stitches. So as you're lifting it up, twist around, lift up, twist your yarn around, so it carries it up the side. Just be very careful that you don't end up crunching this in or having it too loose so it's a bit floppy there, so you can see a floppiness. You shouldn't see a floppiness, but you don't want to make it too loose. That's the only thing. Too tight, sorry. But I don't really mind weaving in ends and making everything go away. And you can see I leave a little end. I don't snip it all away. I guess I could, but it just gives me a bit of wiggle room if I end up moving a lot in this. Some of them, the ends have wiggled in a little bit. So I just sit down and I do all my weaving of ends away. But for something like this, I pulled this out as well because this one, I definitely carried my yarn. There was no way I was going to, absolutely no way that I was going to weave in all the ends. And this is with Fibre to Go. That's Lynn, who's here. This is her beautiful yarn. I think it's your Ziggy, isn't it, Lynn? And because it's a cardigan, I carried my yarn up the front. And then when I picked up my stitches, they all disappeared. It all just disappeared. It ends up looking like that on the inside at the front after I've picked up my stitches, which is very, very neat. So I carried my yarn. I didn't break it between rows. I just carried it up the side. The way I like to carry yarn is I like to, with my working yarn, the one I've just finished with, I lift it and put it over to the right, up and over to the, left. I'm a bit left-right dyslexic. Over to the left. And then I start working with my other yarn coming out from underneath to the right. And when I finish with that one, I lift it up and over to the left and then bring the other one up. It doesn't matter which way you go, as long as you always do the same. And then you get a nice, beautiful finish. So it always looks the same up the side. So you can see I've carried it up here. And it's consistent. It's just a consistent change. This is where we don't want chaos. This is where we would like to tame the chaos on edges like that. So always carry it the same. Yeah, Ziggy DK. But that is, I think, depends, you see. It just depends on how wide your stripes are and whether you can be bothered negotiating it up the side or whether you're happy just to snip it, start again, snip it, start again. I was just happy to snip it, start again. That doesn't really bother me. And then in the end I went back and I wove them all away, and when I'm wearing it you just wouldn't know what was happening on the outside. I ended up, because I went over with the stitches up that seam line anyway, so it's got that nice stitching up the side. So I've just finished my Pippi sock, says Alyssa. Thank you for teaching me a new to me different way bind off. Oh, neat. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Alyssa. It's a nice stretchy one. It's good. I think knitting more, you learn a lot too, don't you? Just by knitting different patterns and from different people and reading different knitting patterns. It's like reading recipe books, which I love doing. And just to see different ways of doing things, and then you can decide, oh, I like that idea, or no, I never would do that. That sounds way too complicated for me, and just leaving it. So, but definitely coming back to what I was thinking about this morning, explaining it to someone else. It's a good way of figuring it out. But even if you haven't got anyone else to explain it to, maybe just talk out loud to yourself and say, I wonder what I could do. Because sometimes when you hear your voice, certainly I find, if I can hear myself thinking out loud, all of a sudden I can make sense of it rather than it just being in my head. It kind of needs to get out of my head for me to hear it properly. All right, everybody. Well, that was a good chat today. There's lots of wandering off into strange directions, but The sun is shining. I have got a new pattern coming for you. I was thinking of having it for next week, but I think I'll make it the week after. I've got a lot happening next week with kids coming home and trying to negotiate who sleeps where, and some are coming and going, and there's all sorts of things happening here. So, and I've got patterns in the works and all sorts of things. So I won't do it for next week, but I'll probably try and do it for the week after. My birthday is that week, so we might do it for my birthday week, and that'll be nice. And it's the new Baystone sweater. So it's a yoke sweater. I held sport weight, beautiful sport weight, Corriedale. I think it's Corriedale. Oh, I need to double check that now. But held it together with a mohair, and I did just a simple patterning through the body. It's got lovely balloon sleeves. It's a really lovely cozy jumper, and I've got to photograph it. Yeah, it's my birthday, not next week, but the week after. So yeah, another birthday rolls around. Yeah, so I've got next week to get used to the idea. It's my birthday the following week. All right, everybody, I will see you this time next week, and we'll have some more chats. Don't forget, if you have a question for me and you want me to answer it on the podcast, you can go to trulymyrtle.com/ask and ask your question. If you want to stay in touch with me and find out when my patterns are coming out and grab discounts when my patterns come out, because I don't publicize them anywhere else, then you want to jump on my mini mag list, which is trulymyrtle.com/mini-mag, and I will send you an email every week, and just a little chit chat email, and I'll link to lots of things in there. Often I'll link to this podcast in case you miss it live, and yes, you might want to sign up for those. And if you're interested in Wardrobe Toolbox, at the moment you can jump on the waiting list. So head over to wardrobetoolbox.com, pop your name down, you'll be on the waiting list, and I'll let you know when the doors open again in March next year. All right, everybody, if you fancy giving me a thumbs up, I just saw a few thumbs up. Yeah, it is. It's my birthday on the 17th. That's right. You remember, Marina. I just saw some thumbs up coming, which is always nice to see. So if you fancy giving me a thumbs up, that would be really nice. And then I think YouTube particularly loves a thumbs up, and it even loves it when you subscribe, and that way you'll stay in touch with me. All right, everybody, I will catch you later. Do lots of knitting. Have a lovely week. I hope you've got weather appropriate knitwear, and if you haven't got any summer tops, you better make one, I think. All right, everybody, I'll catch you later. Bye.